Welcome back. It is On the Market and Off the Record on KWHI AM 1280 for 101.7, the second Wednesday of every month on KWHI with the Lindi Camaron Team from Coldwell Banker.
We're going to welcome our guest today, Jonathan Dooley, Dooley Inspections, and we're excited to have him here. We want to learn a little bit more about him. And Jonathan, tell us how long you've been in the business and how'd you get into home inspection?
I really appreciate being here. Thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate the business relationship we've had. I've been in the business for going on 10 years, full time, and out of college, I was a builder for Lennar and Syntex, and then went and did some missionary work for a year, and then came back and taught junior high social studies and Spanish, and then kind of got in the entrepreneurial spirit, started a pressure washing company. Ran that for 5 years, doing commercial pressure washing in the area. Did a lot of the parking lots in Brenham at night. And my father-in-law mentioned home inspection, and I always loved real estate, and I like to drag realtors around to go look at houses and then find one little thing wrong with them. And decided, man, I like going in houses and just looking at them. And then really from the start, I really enjoyed the industry, the process of just looking, learning about all the codes and inspections, and have been really happy with it ever since.
That's great.
Well, what is the most common issues you would say on when you go in and you do a home inspection for a buyer?
There's always going to be a lot of what we call minor issues or small issues. Grading and drainage around the house, roof drainage is pretty common with all the slopes. AC condensate lines being clogged this time of year after the summer. Poorly installed flooring kind of peeling up, out of square windows that aren't quite opening.
Kind of the do-it-yourself
A light
stuff.
out, an outlet not working. That's going to fill up most of
the most common
report.
things, yeah. So how long does an inspection generally take once you're there?
Typically 2 hours, even if there's two of us. I like to bring two inspectors. We do the TREC standards of practice, which is the 5 major foundation, electrical, AC, plumbing, appliances. And then you can add a lot of different add-on services. We include the thermal scan with the FLIR camera and the elevation measurements with the zip level on the flooring. And then you can do a sewer camera, mold testing, do some indoor air tests. We can do termite reports, septic inspection if needed. Irrigation might add some time, but typically around 2 hours.
Okay. What are some red flags that buyers should definitely pay attention to if they come up on your inspection report?
First and foremost, safety and health. Things that are going to be unsafe for a child, maybe older guardrails, in a stairway. Things in the crawl space, water getting in the crawl space causing mold. You want to, dry that out. Anything electrical in the electrical panels, really old wiring in the attic that's frayed would be something you'd want to take care of.
Yeah.
If we can find a leaking pipe or something like the septic that's just bad, backing up is going to be that 5 or 10% that you could focus on and consider major or red flag.
Yes, Lindi and I, one of our investment properties we found out they didn't even have a septic tank. It was just kind of a barrel under the ground. So there's always some interesting finds on these properties.
Yes, it's good to have an inspection. So what about, do you recommend that the buyer attend the inspection?
So this has changed a lot. Usually, we ask them to come at the very end to get a survey or get a summary. There you go. And a lot of people are the type that want to come and they say, I'll stay out of your way, and it tends to distract, and make the inspector feel rushed. So ideally, there's some types of personalities that really need to be there, but ideally it's best to let us focus on our routine, get in the routine, and be able to answer questions at the end once we've actually looked at everything.
Yes, and kind
Yes.
of go through it with them, and then you can point it out and everything.
Right.
So, how could sellers prepare their home when they're getting ready for a buyer to do an inspection on their property? You're in option time, the buyer's bringing their inspector. Is there anything the sellers could do to prepare their home?
Yeah, it's always helpful to have a little note of things, like a little information on the counter, and then just to make sure that the attic is accessible and the electrical panels aren't blocked with furniture. And dogs and cats, a lot of people say, I've never acted like that, or it's strange. But when there's a strange person that comes in a house without the owner there,
Yeah.
they act a little hostile sometimes, and so
Yes.
a lot of barking. And I've been bit several times by
Oh my
dogs.
gosh.
One was on a chain. It was one of those, not a Rottweiler, but the other one that's real mean. And it seemed nice the whole time. And I thought, well, I can walk over here and look at this. It was a data tag on an AC. And he came up and bit me right in the back of the leg.
Oh my gosh.
And it broke the skin and bruised real bad. And I've had little dogs biting me right in front of the owner, and they say, they're just like, it doesn't act like that. It's like, can you get him to
It's
stop,
like-
please?
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't hurt, did it?
It's got little teeth.
Yes.
Yeah, so getting the pets out of there is probably
Out
best.
of the way, yeah.
Mhm.
I know I have one of our agents just recently, a couple weeks ago, where they went to the final walkthrough for day of closing, ready to go sign for their brand new home. And when they did the inspections, the garage was full of boxes. So the inspector was really not able to get around in the garage or take a look in the garage. And then they moved all their things out before closing, and the agent and their buyers went to the house to do a final walk. And the whole garage had like 6 and 8 inches of water damage on the wall,
Yeah.
which was all covered up by boxes. And so obviously was a very big problem an hour before the closing. So another way is like, we got to be able to see all the walls and get to everything so we can
Yeah.
do a thorough inspection.
And I know we recommend a lot of times the seller have the house inspected as they're putting it on the market so that they are not blindsided, because you live in a home, you don't realize sometimes
Yeah.
that there might be a safety hazard that you weren't aware of. So is that more and more common now?
It is. I've been doing those at least a few a month. And it's an extra tool in your toolbox to get another opinion. Besides getting ahead of the transaction, I think it shows your potential buyer transparency and due diligence.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it saves a lot of time sometimes that you don't get something under contract and then you lose a buyer and then you're going back on the market possibly, and then other buyers are wondering what's wrong with that. It was under contract, now it's back active. It's just red flags.
And a lot of times it's not even something that would be an expensive repair. It's just something that needed to be handled. And we can
Definitely.
explain that to the buyer that's now been handled. So
Yes, and what's one thing you wish more homeowners understood about inspections?
Well, we're different than city inspectors. We don't have enforcement authority, so you don't have to fix anything. We have a standards of practice that we have to write certain deficiencies, and 90% of those probably aren't going to get repaired because people will say, I'll do that later, and then they just never do it. And I have lots of proof of that, of going back to houses that I've inspected, and it's the same kinds of things that are there, year after year. And so the biggest thing is to it's a high stress situation, and so to just prioritize the deficiencies that are with health and safety or some major system not working, and not getting caught up in the minutia and the things that you can live with for a little bit.
So what can we do right now to prepare for the cold weather that might be back
One day.
one day?
Yeah, I mean, obviously taking time, if you have a crawl space, to make sure those pipes are insulated, and draining the irrigation lines, I think, is something you want to remember to do, and looking at all the pipes on the outside and making sure they're insulated, those hose bibs.
I think that's the biggest one is a lot of people will cover their bibs and everything, but forget about their sprinkler system. And then it comes to spring, and we're trying to get our sprinklers going, and we've got
breaks
in the yard, and
it's a big mess.
Big
trying
mess,
to find
especially
where
going
that
on,
leak
getting on
is
the
coming
market,
from.
trying to get your grass green again,
Yes.
and then we start realizing we have more problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about, let's hear some stories on what some, like, maybe some crazy finds in home inspections or things you've come across in the attic.
Yeah, sure. All the secrets and the fun stuff's usually in the attic. I've been scared a few times. Creepy old dolls, you know, mannequin, Halloween. You know, you get up there and you're just not expecting that, and it looks like a person's just standing there watching you.
Yeah.
Halloween decorations. I found some pretty cool old toys and board games that I thought were cool. A raccoon hanging out up there.
Ooh.
Had a little house. I inspected a house a few months ago by a video game designer. It was like War of Warcraft and Age of Empires. This guy that I guess was one of the lead designers, and he had built a house out in Cat Spring, and it was like secret passageways everywhere.
Wow.
You know, like, you know, you have like the bookcase that
Cool.
removes and the mirror wall that pops out.
Oh,
Not
nice.
just secret rooms, but kind of little passageways through the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in a house, this was a long time ago, where I kept hearing sounds, and it was an older house, and it had dark paint, and it kind of had a lot of cabinets and stuff. I mean, candles.
Oh,
So it kind of felt a little odd, but I kept hearing somebody walking through the house, and I'd go down, walk around the whole house, nobody there, and I thought for sure there was somebody there, and it was a real hot day, and it felt really cold in that house.
Ooh. Like
Was it a ghost?
I think so. I think it was. It was probably a friendly ghost, but it didn't sound. It wasn't windy, and it was just it's footsteps and tapping and things like that. So
well, I have to admit, I do have an app on my phone called Ghost Radar, and it's fun to go
You
in
might
these
need
old
that
houses. Not that it's accurate, but it's fun to see where they're picking up the little radar thing, and to it even it'll identify like words that they might be saying.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's fun. I mean, it's just something unique, but I don't think I actually.
I had a ghost in one of my houses that I lived in.
I do.
I think for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, they're all friendly, right?
Yeah.
They're all friendly, yeah.
They just
Okay.
Can't hurt
sometimes
you.
they leave the lights on, leave the door open.
Mm-hmm. Well,
What about I know you said recently you told somebody that they had electrical hazard, and then shortly after that
the house, yeah. So this was a while back, but a few years ago. But it was an old country house, and I was back talking to the real estate agent. A month later, something like that. And she said, "You know that house you inspected last month? That burned down. The whole house burned down to the ground." And
oh my gosh.
I froze up, stiffened up, and like, uh-oh. I hope, you know, what's going on. But I went back and opened up the report and looked at it, and I had actually stated in there that there was a fire hazard in the electrical panel, and there was a lot of funky wiring and things like that.
yeah.
So I never got contacted by anybody, but I was kind of relieved that I had actually,
Yeah.
because they had stated it was an electrical fire.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that all these wires bundled together and not. I mean, a lot of times just coming into these electrical boxes, and I don't know how anyone keeps track of where all that
You can't.
goes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, really.
You just got to
Glad
start
we're
over.
not electricians.
Oh, I know.
There's a lot of home owner wiring, and I've kind of gotten into it too some, where you think, well, I can wire this. Is pretty simple concept, and then one thing leads to another, and then it just all turns into, you know, a bundle, like you said,
Yeah.
of splices, and you can't tell what goes to what.
Yes.
One thing I know that you can't see is the inside of pipes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit off script here, but a lot of the homes in this area were built in the 60s and 70s with cast iron pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And they corrode and rust from the inside. And all of a sudden, you might see a little dot on the exterior pipe, but mostly you can't even see those pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to burst.
Crack, yeah.
I had
In the
a
worst of
house here in town that I lived in.
Mhm.
Twice that happened, where we had a flooded house from a pipe. And so it's good to have that camera go through
Sure.
and check your pipes. People don't think about that until it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So not only buyers and sellers, but anybody can get a home inspection at any time by just calling
especially
you,
if
right?
you've been living in your house for 10, 20, 30 years, it might be time to get an inspection just to see what you're dealing with and avoid something
Mhm.
happening later on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there's just, you don't get in your attic, you don't get on your roof, you don't
Mhm.
crawl under the house. Those are, the keys,
Mhm.
Yes.
to doing that. And so that can be surely worth a few $100s to
Mhm.
get that information.
Well, how can they contact you?
We have an office down in Columbus now. Kind of live a little bit north of that, and then we've got a website, DooleyInspections.com, and our phone number is on the website. You can schedule online, and you'll see my truck driving around.
Yeah.
Yes, he's in Brenham a lot. I know you're doing a couple today, and we got
Yeah.
a house coming up on the market that we're going to be doing a pre-inspection on as well. Cute little
Right.
craftsman home near downtown. So,
And also those duplexes.
oh yeah,
At
these- all
second,
those
you're doing
duplexes.
those next
That'll
week
keep
for
you
us
busy next week.
prior to going on the market because, it's good to know what's going on behind the walls.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan,
Thank
for your time today. And if anybody needs any more information, y'all can reach out to him on his website. And we will be back on December 10th with the whole Lindi Camaron team. We're going to break it down and talk about our year and some fun stories of buyers and sellers and deals that have went good and bad. And it's going to be fun. So join us next month, December 10th, with the Lindi Camaron team.
Yes. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Bye.
On the market.